Thanks for joining us for this COVID-19 briefing for Tuesday, July 21st. We'll go over today's numbers first, and then we will go into some other details as well. As of this morning, 33,198 total tests have been conducted. 3,512 of those have come back positive. 28,092 have come back negative. We have 1,595 tests that are currently pending. Those are all for our four healthcare organizations. Right now in the hospital, we have 79 patients who are positive for COVID. That's combined Merit Health Wesley and Forest General. That's about 10 over where we've been the last 14 days. We have additional 28 patients who are under investigation right now. In the ICU right now, we have 34 patients who are positive for COVID. That's about 5 over where we've been for the last 2 weeks. This is kind of the chart on where things have gone lately. As you can see, they've gone not in a great direction. We were kind of under that 50 mark until the first part of July, and it's been going up ever since. We're just under 80 right now in hospitalizations, and our ICU numbers have risen as well. We did report 1 new death over the weekend. It takes our Forest County death total to 46. We've actually had 4 deaths in our metro area in the past 6 days. In terms of new positive cases, we have 35 in Forest County today, 25 in Lamar. I want to go back to one thing real quick. In terms of, when we go to this next slide, these are the total positive cases since this began. 1,232 for Forest County, 832 for Lamar County. If you didn't see my write-up last night on Facebook, we had a situation on Saturday where the number of new positive cases for Forest County was actually negative 22, and the actual number of new positive cases for Lamar County was 57. That was all in one day. Of course, you're not going to have a negative number of new cases. Some people suddenly don't just not have COVID and never had it. What those things are, and it's happened twice before, those are kind of really data reconciliations, where addresses that were attributed to Forest County were actually in Lamar County or Stone County or even Perry County. And so our emergency management offices, both in Forest County and Lamar County, get those addresses, and when they find errors, they do send them back to the Department of Health to try and make sure they're reconciled. And so on Saturday, that's what that was. There weren't 57 new people that suddenly had COVID in Lamar County and nobody, or negative 22 in Forest County. It was just them reconciling old test results. Our 5-day average, of course, this is actually situations like Saturday, or while we look at the 5-day average, it kind of irons out when there are 1-day discrepancies, and so it takes the number of new positive cases and averages it with the 2 days prior and the 2 days after. And so what we've seen here, Lamar County has passed Forest County in terms of new positive cases. It's in between, it's right at over 30. Forest County is still around 20, but again, when Forest County is having these 30, 35 new positive cases every day, that trend is going to reverse. We look at the number of cases that were reported inside the last 14 days. The reason we do that is because this disease typically has a life cycle of 14 days or fewer, and so when you look at the number of people who have reported back positive in the last 14 days, that gives you an estimate, an imperfect estimate, but still an estimate of how many active cases you could have in your community. And in Forest County, again, this takes into account that minus 22 on Saturday. That number is at 316 right now inside the past 14 days. Lamar County, that number is inside 14-day number is 341. Now, both of those numbers aren't, again, it's not a totally accurate estimate on the number of active cases, because you may have reported your test back positive on 1 day, but you may have had symptoms and been waiting 5 days for your test results. So it's an imperfect estimate, but still an estimate. The number of inside 14 days, if we look on the chart here, that is again, not the direction we want to go. We were kind of at a really kind of a good spot in the middle of June. That number for our metro area is now well over 600 of people who have reported test back just in our 2 counties combined in the past 2 weeks. Our goals, of course, and this is important now, understanding that we've got a lot of people in the hospital and a lot of people in the ICU, protect vulnerable populations from getting sick in the first place. Those are the people who will have adverse reactions, people who are over the age of 60, people with underlying or chronic health conditions, people who are immune compromised. If we can keep them from catching this in the first place, we're more likely able to protect them from that adverse reaction. Secondly, we want to prevent overrun of the healthcare system by slowing the spread. That's a real issue right now, not only for our area, but for most of the state. And finally, if we can prioritize and commit to prioritizing public health, we can continue allowing the private sector to go on as it is. 4 factors that we looked at: widespread availability of testing, the wearing of masks, watching our own data, listening to all voices, Statewide data right today, 1,635 new positive cases. That sets a new high for Mississippi. Also 31 new deaths in our state. We send our condolences to all those families. That's actually one of the higher days in Mississippi for that as well. In terms of also just looking at data, I want to make sure that you have access to this, that you can go and pull these things up if you want to take a little deeper dive into Forest and Lamar counties. If you go to the Department of Health's website, which is msdh.ms.gov/COVID-19, you can click on this link that says Data by County. And there are a couple of really interesting spreadsheets in terms of case summaries, cases per day, but also there's one that you can see the ranking of counties in terms of the last 7 days. And right now, both Forest and Lamar counties, as of last night, were in the top 10. But just, again, trying to make sure that you have information, that you're not just hearing it from me, but you can go and explore this information for yourself. You can find those on the Department of Health's website. One thing that we launched yesterday from our business community, I want to thank all of the people who participated in yesterday's call, Bernard Green, Ab Payne, Tracy Rouse, Todd Jackson, Hoppy Cole, and Dr. Rubosh. Our business community has launched Mask Up Hattiesburg. And this is a thing where I know that people get tired of me talking about masks, and so I want to hear from the people who are actually the ones that are in business right now, having to go through these challenges, that they are taking the issue on themselves. They're taking the mantle, spreading the word, using their spheres of influence to spread the word that masking up is the thing to do. You'll see these ads on Facebook. You'll see them on TV. You'll see them on your friends' Facebook profile pictures. If you haven't added this to your profile picture, we invite you to do so. But it's about the importance of wearing masks, why we wear them, who we wear them for, and how to wear them. And so if you don't want to do it because I said so, you can be an ambassador for this yourself by to your friends why we should wear masks when we're out in public. And on that note, it's important to note that now all of Forest County is under a mask order. This is with Governor Reeves' Executive Order 1509. It did add Forest County to the list of counties with mandatory masks in public places. It also takes us back to shelter in place in terms of sizes of gatherings, sets limits on gatherings to 10 people indoors, 20 people outdoors, requires that businesses space people out by 6 feet, and their customers wear the face coverings as well. Extends all its previous orders to August the 3rd. The whole idea of what is a public place, because you hear the governor says you have to wear a mask in public places. What is a public place? Well, it's according to Governor Reeves' order, any place of business or gathering, retail, restaurant, event venue, it could be indoors or outdoors. That is a public place. And Governor Reeves says that you have to wear a mask when you go to those places. That applies to anyone over the age of 6. There are, of course, exceptions for medical or behavioral health conditions. If you're hearing impaired, if you're actually eating or drinking, it's a little hard to wear a mask. You can take the mask off when you actually have your food. Not while you don't have to wear one when you work out, but going into those places, retail, restaurant, gyms, you do have to wear them. And so, of course, his order only applied to Forest County, and it would make absolutely no sense for half of Hattiesburg to operate under one set of rules and the other half not to. So with my latest executive order, which is 2020-13, it extends not only all the previous orders regarding masks for employees and masks for customers in retail, but it also brings forth the governor's mask order and mandates and those gathering limits and the mask for all businesses to both Forest and Lamar County sides of Hattiesburg. And so in addition to expending all the previous capacity limits from previous orders, we know that even though Governor Reeves only did for Forest County, if you're in the city of Hattiesburg or if your business is in the city of Hattiesburg, whether Forest or Lamar County, we will be abiding and enforcing that mask order. And finally, in some city news, we have learned over the last several days that 14 of our employees now have COVID. While we're trying to make sure that we are leading from the front, living the example on those goals, protecting the vulnerable, we are actually closing several city offices to the public for walk-in service. You can still get drive-through or call-in or curbside, but City Hall, water billing, community center reservations, cemetery engineering, and then the police in terms of obtaining records, those offices will be closed to the public. Municipal court will still be open, and you can still access those services through curbside, drive-through, or by phone. And finally, our act of courage today. Over the weekend, America lost an icon and hero in Georgia Congressman John Lewis. Flags in Hattiesburg flew half-staff for a man that has become a living symbol of not only the civil rights movement, but of hope, forgiveness, and reconciliation. We remember the images of him with Dr. Martin Luther King at the March on Washington. We remember the images of him on the Edmund Pettus Bridge on Bloody Sunday in Selma, Alabama on March 7, 1965. And remember a very different image of him on that bridge some 50 years later walking hand in hand with the first African-American president. Here in Hattiesburg, we also remember his involvement in the local civil rights struggle as he came down as a leader with the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee back in January of 1964, which set the stage for Freedom Summer later that year. John Lewis once said, "Freedom is not a state, it is an act. It is not some enchanted garden perched high on a distant plateau where we can finally sit down and rest. Freedom is the continuous action we all must take, and each generation must do its part to create an even more fair, more just society." When we see heroes like John Lewis pass, and we have seen many in our community leave us in recent years, it's critical that we not only honor their life, but also take up the torch and run hard toward justice and opportunity. Hopefully, if we do that, when it's our time to take our eternal rest and hand that torch off to someone else, we would do so knowing that we did all we could do to take this community, this state, this nation to its greatest potential. So I encourage all of us, as he would, to be about finding and getting into the good trouble, the necessary trouble, the trouble that can not only change the world, but make an altogether new one. Courage.